How you guys doing today? Welcome in here to Rover Sports. Today, Carson Wentz signs his contract, $32 million every year for Carson Wentz, adding up to 2025. So apparently Carson Wentz, his contract is going to be up in 2025. He signs a 4-year extension from his rookie deal. He's going to be making $32 million every single year. That's really the number that I look at. And the guaranteed signing money for Carson Wentz has been reported at $107,000. It equals the same amount of money as Russell Wilson. His guaranteed contract, in terms of the money guaranteed from his $128 million deal for 4 years, 83% of that money is going to be guaranteed. So we look at Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers has 98, has a 4-year deal, $33 million a year. He's 35 years old right now, which is absolutely wild. It's also wild that Matt Ryan is 34 years old. I can't believe how old these guys are. 35 years old for Alex Smith, Eli Manning 38 years old. It's funny that Matt Ryan is that old. I never would have thought he's that old. Matt Stafford only 31 years old. But really, as we look at Carson Wentz, I think the Eagles were smart, because say Carson Wentz goes out next year and he absolutely rocks it, right? Say Carson Wentz, the Eagles win the division or get close to winning the division. He's not hurt. He puts up unbelievable stats. Imagine this contract then. It might have been $37 million over a 4-year deal. He would have then maybe held out of training camp and maybe would have gotten ugly. So you're still paying Carson Wentz about $32 million a year. It's still a really hefty contract. Now, I do believe in Carson Wentz. I believe in the skill. 6'5", can run like a gazelle. The guy has great arm strength. He's a decent leader. He was a little bit jealous of Nick Foles last year, I would say, and understandably so. I mean, you're a young kid. You're used to winning at North Dakota State. You're used to winning at North Dakota. Nick Foles takes your team that you won in the regular season. He goes out and wins a Super Bowl, and a lot of the older guys, a lot of veterans maybe wanted Nick Foles there. It's a huge distraction having a Super Bowl winning quarterback that really was tremendous in the playoffs. That Minnesota and the Patriots game, Nick Foles played very well. So there still were people in Philadelphia that were wondering about Nick Foles, and that kind of almost wanted Nick Foles to be the guy. So now that Nick Foles is out of town, it's Carson's team. What Carson needs to do better is he needs to trust Alshon Jeffrey. I mean, Nick Foles, the way he ran the offense, Nick Foles didn't do a lot of audibles. He let Alshon Jeffrey be Alshon Jeffrey, and that is something Carson's going to have to do. He's going to have to let Ortega-Whiteside take the top off of the defense. He's going to have to trust Nelson Aguilar running routes. He's going to have to spread the ball around, not just to Zach Ertz, but to other players on the field. Overall, this is a great signing, because if Carson Wentz goes out and deals, his contract would have been so much more expensive. But like the Jimmy Garoppolo contract, where the 49ers gave Jimmy that contract after 4 games in which he played really well and people thought it was immature, you need to project onto market value. You need to sign guys before they get unbelievable. Look at how Bob Myers handled the Golden State situation with Steph Curry. Steph Curry was just emerging onto the scene, but he kind of hurt his ankle a little bit. He paid Steph all that money up front when Steph was kind of unproven. Steph took the deal, and then Steph Curry became the best player in the NBA, and he was making a fraction of what he should have made. So you need to be proactive instead of reactive. When you're reactive, these guys have all the leverage. Look at the Seattle Seahawks. They got leveraged out by Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was able to bully them, and he bullied them into into giving now Russell Wilson $35 million, the percentage of the team's salary cap, Russell Wilson's making $35 million a year, and Seattle has all kinds of holes on that roster. They're nowhere close to being ready to win, and Jimmy Garoppolo, who what I'd argue is actually a quarterback I'd prefer over Russell Wilson because he hangs in the pocket more. He's less unpredictable outside of the pocket. And Jimmy Garoppolo, better accuracy and much easier, I think, to coach and be in a system. Russell's a great guy, but still, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be one of the most efficient quarterbacks. He's making $27 million. It was so smart of John Lynch to give Jimmy that contract. Everybody thought that contract's absurd. These numbers keep going up. Now, for Aaron Rodgers, he's making about $33 million, but the guy's 35 years old. So now for Dakota Prescott, for Dak Prescott, the Cowboys should try to get him at $30 million, at $29 million. That's what they should try to get him at. Let's look at Derek Carr's contract. Derek Carr's contract is up in 2023. He is making $25 million a year, but that's actually not a ton of money at all. And for the guaranteed contracts, the only guarantee that he really has is 56% of his contract, which is only $70 million guaranteed. You look at Andrew Luck's contract; he's making $24 million. He has the injuries; his contract is up in 2022. Guys that are getting to that point where they're going to need new deals in 2021. In 2021. Which is in 2 seasons, Cam Newton and Andy Dalton. Cam Newton, 30 years old with the shoulder problems. Cam Newton is making only $20 million. That's actually not a lot of money for the quarterback. Andy Dalton's making $16,000 every single year. That also is surprising. Dalton, 31 years of age. A lot of these guys are older. And then you look at what the rookies are making, the rookie deals. Kyler Murray making $8 million a year, Baker $8 million, Tom Brady $15 million. It's just interesting to look at these quarterback contracts. But if you're a fan of the Giants, if you're a fan of these other teams, I feel good. I feel happy that the Eagles are paying Wentz $32 million because the best teams have rookie quarterbacks. The Kansas City Chiefs have a rookie quarterback. The Chicago Bears have Mitchell Trubisky, but they're allowed to spend like crazy. The Chicago Bears are able to have, you look at their defense, what Chicago has. Chicago's able to afford Khalil Mack's contract. They're able to have, Eddie Jackson, I know is a sensational player. They're able to have like all these, cornerbacks, Fuller, Floyd, Trevathan, all types, Kwiatkowski, all these really good linebackers. You look at Floyd, you look at Mack, Akeem Hicks is probably worth some money, Eddie Goldman on the defensive line. So really with Chicago, Mitchell Trubisky gives them that flexibility. I know that they let Amos go, but Chicago's defense is still filthy good, with Floyd and Khalil Mack coming off that edge. And then, of course, they drafted Roquan. A lot of it's been drafting, but the fact that they have Trubisky under this rookie contract, you look at Kansas City, they are able to get the guy out of Seattle, Frank Clark. Kansas City also was able to afford Honey Badger in the offseason process. Kansas City's one of the best teams in the league. Looking at the other teams that were in the Super Bowl, of course, you had Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, who have a tremendous defense. So when you have a rookie quarterback, you're able to allocate some of these resources to the defensive side. Russell Wilson and the Legion of Boom was the precise example. And when you have a rookie quarterback, that's your window to go out and ball. Chicago, like we just discussed, made the leap last year, and Green Bay's been hand-tied with the deal. A lot of these teams have been, famously Baltimore, after Joe Flacco won that Super Bowl, they didn't give Joe that contract up front, so that Super Bowl just absolutely killed their team. It decimated them. Drew Brees and that contract in Saint Land, they weren't able to build on that side of the ball, so it's so important to strike a deal while the iron is hot, so to speak, with your personnel and with your team. So I look at this deal for Philly, and it's an all right deal. It is decent. It's okay. It's not perfect. It's just fine.